Alright, hello everyone. This is episode 9 of the Green Room podcast, and today I'm joined by Doc Beats, producer from Offaly. He's part of the Lemon Pie Collective, also known as Diarmid. I'll honestly say, fire away with as big of an intro as you can give, man, because a lot of people tend to kind of give me a bit of a short answer. Just who Doc Beats is, how you kind of got into production. The Lemon Pie Collective obviously is a pretty big thing, how that came about, what exactly it is, who's involved with it. Just fire away and kind of give us some details on your artist persona.
Okay. Yeah, I think mine's going to be pretty short as well. But that's it. As you said it there, I've been making tunes for about I'd say nearly 10 years at this stage now. I studied music in LIT, and that's kind of where I started. I started doing hip hop then at home with my own mates, and that was Aggie Heaney and Barry Tynan. And that's then we started Lemon Pie, and we got on board with another fella from our town, Ryan Windsor, and he was always rapping. Like, since we knew him, he was one of the first boys just spitting fire bars. He was one of them boys that, you know, he could just do a freestyle. Ever since I knew him, like, he was just whacking out freestyles, and they were always so witty and brilliant, and like, they were funny, but he was also really good at them as well. So like, we kind of all knew that, like, you know, if we actually put our heads to doing something, we could actually do something great.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Then we started doing all the shows. We started doing as much as we could with what we could do. And then that's where we got as far as we got, to playing up to shows with High Focus boys and stuff like that. And it was absolutely like a dream come true to get up to them positions. And like, sure, most of the time we were just like, you know, not even like, we were absolutely going to the shows and we were like gassed up, but then we'd be nerves to bits, and so like we'd be absolutely locked for the whole show, or I'd be smoking to bits, and so afterwards you don't even remember the shows, and then you're like, shit, they were the times, they were the ones. But
which High Focus a gig did you do?
First one we did was Black Josh. We opened up for, he came over to the, where was that? That was in Drop Dead Twice up in Dublin, and that was an amazing show. That was the first show we ever did for like an artist that we would listen to. And you know Lee Scott and all the boys that he would be working with from Blah. He came over, and I was DJing for most of the lads, so he just said to me, "Do you mind spinning my tracks?" And I was like, obviously. And then he gave me the USB. I was so happy. And then he gave me the USB, and it had tunes from him and Lee Scott. Like, it said Lee Scott's name and then Black Josh, and it was their new tunes. And I felt like a little schoolboy. I was like, oh my God, Lee Scott's tunes.
It's a great feeling, that, man.
It fucking is, it is. We done one more show then with Dat Kid. You know Dat Kid, the crud lord from...
I met him before, yeah.
Yeah, we done a show with him as well, and didn't really meet him that much, but we got to see them live. And your man Physics as well, he's unbelievably talented. Oh my God, he's so good.
Dat Kid, man, he's a funny old character. I went to the Dyke gig in Belfast maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3. And I knew that I was initially going up to interview the lads who were running it, because I was doing a documentary for my last year in music tech in LIT, and one.
Nice one.
I was going to hit two birds with one stone, go to that gig. And I just have one funny memory where we were all staying in the studio after, the Fifth Element building up there, the old one, it's closed down now, and he was sitting next to me on the couch, and I'd listened to him before, but out of all the people who were there, I didn't actually know him too well. I didn't know him like what he looked like or anything like that. And he's just sitting there blowing up a sex doll, and he's like, he just turns to me, he's like, if anyone touches my sex doll, I'm gonna fucking stab them to death. And I was like, who are you again? And that kid. And I was like, oh yeah. I sold him a bag of weed then. I was fucking delighted, like, but just thought I'd throw that funny story in there.
Oh, that's gas, man. The boys are sound out though. They are.
Yeah, I've met Dyke, Baxter, Dat Kid, Sammy B, and they were all very, very sound. Met them all a couple of times because I went to a few of their gigs, and I had just like you were saying when you had Lee Scott and Black Josh and you were DJing for them, like probably doesn't count as the same because I organized the gig, but I got upfront from the Split Profits and Lazy Eyes, and as well as Costello as well, a few other boys, and then getting to DJ for them up on stage was pretty sick.
I think that's even better, man. If you brought them over here, that's like a step further. You're giving them, you're like, you know, you're providing them with what they do for their career. Like that's fucking, and that is the shout. Like
they were very. It was pretty gas, especially because Upfront called over to my gaff, like, and we were just hanging about, like, and I was like, I was listening to this fella like when I was like 16, and now we're fucking going together in my room, like.
Man, that's the dream there.
Yeah, I did a tune with him as well a couple of years ago. On my second DJ Green album, and he just sticks out so much, like, and while he took like a while to put together the song, the quality was there, like, and even just the way I got so much stems off him to work with as well, not in the sense that it was messy, it was just like, do what you want with these, like, here's a lot to choose from and all that. It was like a very, very professional way he did it, like, but not to go off point and make this the show about myself, like, but yeah, no, that is it's a really, really great feeling in some cases, like, to work with someone that or even hang out with or chill with, because in some cases your heroes aren't so sound. I've met a couple of other maybe more famous rappers that were pretty dickish. I didn't take it to heart too much, but it's like, I got a tattoo of your logo on my fucking arm, like,
that's what they say. But, never meet your heroes, as it is.
Yeah, well, the way I kind of saw it was like they've been told they're unreal for 30 years, and I guess probably, you know, it might wear off after a while. Yeah. But still, you should realistically try to be respectful and sound to your fans. Like, this guy, this member of Wu-Tang, who I won't name, was more interested in the fucking young one next to me dancing on the dance floor, and I'm like, you're like 50 years older than her, man. Like, what the fuck,
like. No. That seems to be the way. But so, yeah, no, we got to do it though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like, I've no reservations about being a fanboy like that. You know, I don't care if I'm 25. I'd happily go up there and be like, yeah, look, I've been fucking listening to your music my whole life, and can I get your autograph and all that shit? Like, I got the Jesus autograph in a box of Amberleaf because that's all I had on me to get signed. Like, it's pretty funny. Like. That's
unreal.
I know.
That's class.
I just handed it to him, and he kind of like looked at it, was like, oh, fuck's sake, and just fucking signed it. And I was like, fuck off, man.
That's brilliant. But that's it, like, you're fucking, I think there's some artists out there that, like you were saying there, you know, if you go up to them and you genuinely are like, I fuck with what you do as an artist and it inspires me to do my art, most artists I feel are gonna, like, feel that, because everyone's been in the same boat at some stage. Like, we've heard music that has made us want to be creative. And, like, really? I love, like, if someone tells me that, like, oh, I seen that beat you put up and, you know, I'm mad interested in learning how to make beats, that gets me so fired up. I love that. That's the exact reason I got into doing it. And then, you know, like, there's some artists that have been doing it for so long that I think they lose touch with that, like, kind of, you know, the beginning, you know, the starting phase. And so they kind of just put themselves on a pedestal and they don't, you know, relate with them people anymore. And it's just, you kind of just lose fucking, I don't know, kind of bit of humanity if you do that, seems like.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I've had it before, not necessarily with people who want to get into rapping or production or whatever, but they've said, like, it's like, straight up, man, like, fucking a decade ago you fucking basically said you're gonna do this, and, like, everyone was laughing at you, including most of us, like, and you just said fuck you to all of us, like, and shown some of the things I've done with music since, like, with, like, I mean, not really even in the past, but some of the stuff I have basically in the background that I've kept hidden from a lot of people, like, is seriously big deals, like, that are going on. Not to fucking toot my own horn too much or whatever, but it's kind of like, they were like, I take that as a huge level of inspiration, even to follow my dreams that weren't nearly as kind of, what's the word, you know, far-reached.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Like,
big aspirations.
Yeah, these are lads who just want to kind of open a business that's not too, it's like a business that's not too fucking, like, that's definitely not going to work sort of job, like, but it's like, even they were kind of a bit too scared and reluctant to do that. It's like, you've effectively made a living out of being a fucking lad from the edge of Connemara making rap beats with, you know, in some cases worldwide artists, like, and fucking, yeah, it does take a long time to get to a kind of a level that you're kind of satisfied with, because I spent years just in the shadows, like, but
yeah,
no, it's definitely, it's a nice feeling to inspire people in any shape or form, in that regard, like.
Because that's it. That's the exact thing. It's like the doing, like you said there. Like if you're doing stuff in Ireland, I think if you're putting the work in, because it's such a small country, you can get heard of pretty quick, and that's like an amazing thing. And it's like a lot of people then say to me like, oh, how do you do it? Like how do you output music and how do you get people to hear you? And like all you have to do is do it. If you do it, if you say I have a goal and I'm going to reach that goal, like that's the problem. A lot of people don't even set the goal. They're just like, oh, I kind of just like to do this thing, and if it happens, it happens. If not, then no. But like you were saying there, people that have a goal in mind and then start to accomplish that goal, like most people are like, what the fuck? How is that person doing the thing they want to do? Exactly. And that's the same. All of us are in the same battle, like trying to, get content out at a consistent rate and to grow as well. And like it literally is, it's all the same battle. It's just like you just have to find something you don't mind doing and put the work into doing that thing, and then things will just happen. If it takes 10 years, if it takes 5 years, you just have to keep on going at it, and the stuff will eventually be heard of.
I've had this conversation before where it's like I often kind of forget about how much work I've put in and the feats I've made, and kind of like once I make a feat, it's like, oh, that was great, and then I forget about it and I like don't look back on it. Yeah. And it wasn't until recently, early this year, I basically got, I won't reveal names or whatever because I'm keeping this pretty under wraps, but I got a text message off a rapper that I grew up listening to for a long time, and he's fucking wouldn't be so big these days, but he was a fair legend back in the 90s and the 2000s, like. And we'd gotten to correspondence on Instagram or whatever, and we were just chatting about fucking general shit. Like I didn't even know he was still making music, and I managed to find him, and I was like, hey, are you still making music? He's like, yeah, I just released an album, I got another one on the way. I was like, oh cool, yeah. And then I was like, just so you know, I make beats if you're ever looking. Like, and I was kind of thinking like, he's not going to respond to that because I'm sure he's got the likes of any big East Coast producer you can think of at his disposal. He just liked the message or whatever. I was like, yeah, that's fine, I'm not going to take that as an insult. Like, he's not some fucking random lad from down the road, like he's being ignorant. Like, exactly. Then he texted me back like 2 months later and said like, I've been looking at all your beats on Instagram and all that stuff, I'd like to work with you, blah blah blah, like, etc. And like since then it's going ahead, I put it that way. Like we've got more than groundwork done and stuff like that. And I was kind of thinking like 9 years ago, like, or even nearly 10 years ago now, like that's what, one little small little fucking pathway to the left led to this. Like, because initially the only reason I got into it is because a mate of mine was making remixes in Audacity. I started doing that. He's now a school teacher, and I've never looked back. Like, I've continued
you never
on.
Stopped.
And I always had a very obsessive consistency with it, where I've continuously done it every day in, day out. The only times I'm not working on stuff is if I'm horrifically hungover, but that's not too often anyways. Like, so it's kind of like it will pay off, and it's also part of it sticking your neck out. Like, is like a lot of people kind of, they're afraid to be shot down, or they're afraid to just kind of like, a lot of the stuff that I've gotten is because I've just said, here, put my hand up and said I'll do it, and it's worked out really well for me. So I'd highly recommend it to people. Like, obviously, make sure you've got your skill kind of honed on some level before you kind of start jumping out there, but don't be afraid either, because I know lads who are better producers than I am but have fuck all production credits because they've never made the effort to actually kind of really push their shit. When I was making half decent beats, and I was, getting fucking production credits everywhere. Like, it's almost harder now that I feel I've really honed my craft as a producer. Like,
no, absolutely. That is the thing. Like, production is like, I've always said this, and like I've always heard this from college, is that like it's 10% talent, and the rest of it is work. The rest of it is how much are you willing. You can give all your time to making beats, and that is good, and you're going to grow and you're going to get better at doing that, and that's what a lot of people at the start should be doing. But like, without the work that you were saying there, of putting yourself out there, of seeing somebody post up on Instagram saying any beats, and they're a big huge artist that you don't think you're going to get a feature off it, but you just bite the bullet and you send it to them anyway, because exactly like you said, you never know what could happen. There was
I did that about 10 times before. Like, Raekwon, Ghostface Killah, all of them were putting up stuff like that and never ever got a response, because probably thousands, but this one time
exactly, and you just keep on going. And well, I have one story as well. Clobocop, the Glasgow rapper.
I don't actually think I do know.
J-
No, sorry.
She would rap with she songs with Lee Scott and the Blah Records boys and Milcavelli and them lads.
Yeah.
I don't think she's on Blah, but she's doing her own thing and she's very good, like sort of ignorant trap rap, and she is sexy out as well. She's unreal. But one of my mates, like I've listened to her for a while since listening to the Blah Records boys, and one of my mates one day, Aggie, just seen that she put up a post on the internet saying anyone got beats, send them to this email, and he was like, you need to get them beats, send them through to her. And I was like, no way, man, like same sort of shit. She's getting beats from producers all over the world, like no way is she going to listen to them. Did the same thing, sent her across a couple of beats, and then 6 months later she hit me back and she was like, I recorded a song over one of your tracks, what's your full name, like I'm going to put you down in the production credits. And that, like, up until that point I hadn't worked with anyone outside Ireland, hadn't even really tried that much, and just threw that email or threw them beats out to her email, and then it ended up that we got a song together and she released it on her last album there. And I thought she told me I had to release it because the way she was going on about it was like it was an alright tune for her, but for me I was like, this is lethal, like she got a tune over my beat. And then she ended up like her management team ended up releasing it and everything, so I was absolutely delighted about that. And it was just off of a whim, just off of taking the chance, didn't expect anything to come back of it, and it was a good one. And
it's almost always a whim, man, to be honest. For me, my biggest achievements have always been on whims, just total like little random little events that happened, and bang, something came out of it. Like,
absolutely, that's because as well I feel like if you set too much expectations where you think that, oh, this rapper's definitely gonna take a beat off me, or you just expect something to happen, you're only gonna set yourself up for like failure, or like for things to not go the way you'd plan them. But if you just like that, just throw yourself out there, put the beats out, send them to the emails, not expect anything, just be doing it like every day, then something's gonna happen.
Oh man,
that's just the way it is.
With two of the songs I did that would probably be the most successful ever was the Kneecap one, Your Sniffer Dogs Are Shite. Like the way that occurred was like Nisha, which is Mowgli Bap from Kneecap, went to college with one of my mates, and that mate was a year below me in school. We only kind of got friendly recently because I'd been on the 091 show and he was one of the hosts for that, and he just happened to remember me. He's like, oh, I know this guy I went to school with, and he's a producer if you want to get him on the show. And then he said to me that Kneecap are coming down to do a music video out in Connemara, and they'd only released one tune at the time, and I'd heard of them, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, they seem to be pretty big, sure, I'll pop out for the video and have the crack, like. And then I mentioned I was a producer and thinking nothing of it, like, and managed to get the production credit down on that tune. And it's a very good feeling because there's not many songs I can say that are on Spotify that have gotten nearly 1 million streams, if not plus 1 million streams. And then I produced a track that ended up being number 1 very briefly in Ireland. It was number 2 for most of it. It was the Steve O'Timothy song. You might know him as Farmer Michael. He's a comedian down in Galway. He jumped into the rapping, and the only way I knew got through to him is because I used to drink with his brother in fucking Salt Hill back in the day, like his younger brother, like. And he just tagged me. He's like, oh yeah, I think Connor fucking makes beats, and from there, like, got into that, and some miracle, it got to number 1 at one point, which is insane. Like, and it's kind of like, it's not something like people expect. Like, they expect if you've produced a number 1, you're obviously like living the high life, driving a fucking Ferrari. I, like, people ask me about music, like, oh yeah, I've actually produced like I think 3 songs that like were in the top 10 in Ireland. They're like, what? Like, what tunes? They're like, yeah. Like, and sometimes they've never even heard the songs before. It's like, I guess the charts aren't so much of a focus across the board now because we've got unlimited access to music everywhere. So it's like,
absolutely,
most people aren't like, oh, this Drake song is number 1 right now, I'm gonna listen to this. So that's fair enough. Like, but yeah, it's kind of like these
I know what you mean.
May have been, it's kind of sad in a sense. It's like that if this was 10 years ago, my name might have been in the fucking newspaper for doing that, like. But now it's kind of, because things are so oversaturated, it can be harder to really like get stuff out there in a sense, and for things to kind of be, it's very hard to do something now where it's like, Jesus, that really sticks out, like, and the fucking camera is honing in on you all of a sudden, because I don't think yet to this day I've done that tune yet where it's like I'm, a household name for what of the better word, like it has worked for some people. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's definitely an interesting kind of turn of events, the way things are like that now, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely though, and especially because, like you said there, in Ireland, if you ask someone or like that, you say like this is the top 3 tracks from Irish artists, and you say that to a lot of Irish people, they probably won't even know them artists.
Oh yeah.
Irish music is probably like, well, it's the most listened to in Ireland, but it still hasn't been taken seriously. Like other countries have their own music, and they love it. Like English love their style of the way they adapted trap and hip hop, and they made grime, you know, and they love that and they back it so heavily. But like in Ireland, it's like, I don't know, there doesn't seem to have that sort of a thing yet as well. So like you were saying there could be really big producers in Ireland working with all these like big level artists. And like someone that I've got to work with is and I've been lucky enough to, through just a sequence of events, is Jafaris. And like he's one of the most streamed artists in this country. And like whenever I'm saying to anyone like who have you done work with, he's one of the first people I'll mention. Because I feel like he's a big art. He's done stuff with Lucasade. He's been doing deals all over the place. He works with Diffusion as well. And and I say I'd mention him, and then they'll be like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "He's the biggest streamed artist in this country." And then I'd be telling them, I tell them other artists I know, and they're like, if I didn't know that first, boy." You know, and it's just gas, because that is kind of the thing you see. And it's like when you're in the hip hop world, you live in the hip hop world, and you chat to all the people that are in that world. Yeah. But then, that's the thing. You kind of, like you were saying there, you could produce one of the top tracks in Ireland, but unless you're doing that a couple of times, like a month, if you're doing that once or twice a month, then you might be suffice to get yourself some nice car to be driving around in and stuff. But it's like in Ireland, it's very hard to just do one thing and have people stay their focus on you, because people's attention span all over everywhere is so short now. It has to be a consistent saturation of, here's the music there. If you go on Instagram, the music's there. If you go on YouTube, there's more music there, and you just have it all over the place.
Yeah, it's not like an instant kind of level up like you'd expect.
Yeah.
At least I would have been more thinking that, like, at least at the start when I kind of ticked off a few boxes, I was like, all right, now like I'm at this level and I can consistently go up. But I feel like it's like a very slow upward trajectory unless you're quite lucky. Like, I'd say, to be honest, the only Irish artists in the hip hop kind of circle that are widely known are probably Versatile. Not even Kneecap. Every second person probably wouldn't know who they are. I'd say just Versatile and fucking probably a lot of the drill guys. I find that a lot of people would listen to those more often. Like, because usually when I stick on Irish rap, it's like, oh, but do you listen to these guys? And I stick it on. It's like, no, I don't really listen to that stuff. But fair enough. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'd know these drillers from somewhere. Yeah. That seems to be the most prevalent stuff at the minute. All right.
But even when you were saying like the fact that like even some of the more famous kind of artists outside of Ireland, like I did a song. It wasn't initially directly with Project Pat, but he was featuring on the song. Like it was a song with a Mexican group called South Coast Army, which they'd be quite like 3-6 Mafia inspired, I guess. And I sold a beat to them years ago, like, and they showed me initial demo of the song and it sounded sick, and they came back and it had Project Pat in it, and I was kind of like, where did you get that? Like, I mean, I didn't recognize the vocals, so I was like, did you rip that off a song or whatever? I was like, no, like, we legitimately got him on the song. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, like, and he probably is the most famous artist I've got on a track. But like most people, I say, like, do you know Project Pat? And they're like, no. I was like, okay, do you know Juicy J? And they're like, no. I was like, do you know 3-6 Mafia? I was like, no. I was like, fuck, like, it's like they won a Grammy award like 20 years ago for Stay High Till You Die, like. And it's like, they're like, oh, cool, man. It's like, fuck's sake, like, it's like, you know, these guys got millions of views on YouTube. Like, not that I need the validation, but like, it's a very rare occasion, where I kind of name probably some of the best things I've worked on that the average person outside of the music scene will know what the fuck I'm talking about. They're just like, you know, and it's never going to seem as good to them if it's not someone they already know, do you know? Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. Like, I have realized in doing music is exactly like you're saying, the artists that I have got to work with and that like are the reason that, you know, I feel some sort of like you know, artists that I fuck with, and then send them the beats and they tell you, oh, I fuck with that beat, and it gives you like that good feeling. It makes you want to do more of that stuff.
That's a nice boost.
That's absolutely. And it's like what the fuck was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought there now. But yeah, no, of making oh, I went on a big roundabout there. Now I forgot what I was going to say, but it was just on the topic of what we were saying there about. I'm lost now. We'll go on to something else.
What you were basically saying was like, well, at least what I was gathering from it was that the artists that you're working with that are kind of the most renowned, I guess, or in your eyes the ones you listen to, it's definitely a massive boost to you, and in a sense it might, like, not to give a negative word to it, but like delude you to think that like, oh, everyone is as aware of this as I am, and they would kind of nearly get the same boost of like hearing that they know someone that's kind of worked on that with someone as big as that. But an awful lot of the time, because of the way things are, they don't even know who that is, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
yeah.
And I think that as well, because of that, it doesn't hold so much weight on where your career goes to. Like, it's like, oh, I just did a song with this guy and I did a #1 here, and this song's got a few million streams, and it's because it's like the scene isn't so, people aren't so fully aware of the scene in Ireland, which you have to kind of be successful in your own country first before you kind of jump out. Because of that, it
absolutely,
kind of, it stunts your growth probably, in a sense too, that people aren't so tuned in and aware of it, like, and it's kind of like I remember what I was going to say now about it as well, and like, absolutely, I feel that, yeah, like we were saying there, it can hold you back a little bit, but from the artists that I've got to work with, is like, that's the thing I've had to realize, is that, like we were saying earlier, at some stage I fucked with these artists, and whatever anyone else thinks about them, that doesn't matter. I fucked with them. They gave me some sort of like, want to do something creative. And then and that's the feeling that, like, when you get to work with them, even if people don't know the shit and they don't know the artist, it's like, fair enough, that's grand, but I fucked with this person, so I'm going to take that in my stride. And then it's the thing that kind of bigs you up to do more. But something that, like, I have kind of noticed myself in what we're talking about is that I've been making hip-hop and trap and R&B and grime and drill and a little bit of dance tunes, a little bit of techno and stuff, but I've just been more so a hip-hop producer, and so I've only worked with hip-hop artists. And now I listen to Mac DeMarco, I'm listening to all sorts of acoustic, like, bands just playing, like, feeling their instruments out, and then you can feel what they're doing, and I love that stuff so much. And I've even learnt in that like, my whole thing of, like, what I thought I wanted to do and the people that I thought I wanted to work with, I was kind of boxing myself in. Even the conversation we were having there about how it sometimes feels like, oh, maybe I'm not getting the recognition that I deserve. And the thing that I realized after a while is that I'm getting exactly the recognition that I deserve in a country where hip-hop is only in the charts now. It's not even that people are actually invested in hip-hop, so they're not going to go and look at the Irish artists that are coming up and stuff. They're still only going to hear what gets plastered in front of them. And so, like, what that made me realize is that I kind of want to not be boxed in. I don't want to be doing it for anyone else's approval at all, but at the same time, I was doing hip-hop with, exactly like we were saying there, you kind of do it, and then you're in the sense of, like, oh, you want to tell people about the people that you're working with, and then because they don't know about it, it feels like it puts some shadow on the thing that you're doing. But realistically, it's just kind of like, you wanted to do it, and if you got them goals and you achieved them things, you were able to apply that to whatever genre of music you want to apply it to. And, like, that's the thing, if we really want to go and make tunes that are going to be #1 and people are going to hear about them, we could go spend the time doing that. But that's kind of the thing you realize, is that I prefer just going my own path and finding out, what I could do with the audience base that's going to fuck with my stuff for what it is. Like, I people would often say as well, like, would you not work with this artist, would you not work with that artist? And, like, on one level it's kind of like, it's like, because again, it's because of what I hear most people listening to is either versatile or drill stuff. It's like, oh, would you not start making drill tunes? It's like, you can't just, like, make drill tunes just like that. It's like, one, it's like it is a totally different genre to hip-hop in terms of the way it's made. Like, I'd have to spend probably a year for me to perfect that to a level that I'm really happy with. Like, whereas I've been working on these sort of rap beats and my own kind of sound as well for the last decade, And as well, it's just kind of like they forget how oversaturated the scene is. It's like, oh, would you not just do a tune with versatile? It's like, I don't even know them. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's still on a kind of more so a basis that you know the person, as opposed to kind of a sense where it's like it's strangers that are at a certain level that are messaging each other back and forth. Like, it usually, most of the people I've worked with is because I knew them. Like, do you know what I mean? I got to know them, and that's the best way, because it kind of, I guess it's good that it's on a more kind of communal and realistic level, where it's like, if I was to like message Costello and say I make beats, he'd probably be like, alright, yeah, but I don't even know you, I never met you, and you're just a stranger or whatever. But then I got way further, because I mean, I probably did message a couple of Irish artists just that I didn't even know but listened to, that I made beats and never got a response. But then as soon as I met them in person, like, it was instant, like, and shit got done, because it's less just as well. From their point of view, it's like, oh, this guy's successful and he's good. If I make tunes with him, I'll be successful and good too. But that's not my attitude. It's more like, I really fuck with your shit, because there's plenty of artists out there that I think are very good, but I don't think what I have is what would suffice for them, and it's not necessarily my the pinnacle of my tastes, I guess, which is kind of, especially what we do with Bad Arts, like the label, is I fuck with all the lads, and all their stuff is literally different sects of my tastes on a platter, pretty much, like, of stuff that I actually listen to as well, which I think is very important. Like, not that necessarily my approval is something that they need, but it's kind of like, I really just wouldn't feel fully right about putting someone's music out that is like, I don't even listen to that shit. Like, I wouldn't listen to that going around any day. So it's kind of like, that's an important aspect of it.
Of course, because if you're putting music out that you don't move to and you don't feel yourself, how the fuck do you expect anybody to feel that stuff? And they could, but that's the basic principle in it. Like, because it's only going to be, it's the same as anything. It's the same as like speaking about something you don't know about. If you aren't informed on something and you're talking about it, you talk with less confidence, and you stutter, and you trip over your words. But when you know something, like same way as in music, when you know about something, you just know it. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to do any of that stuff. And absolutely, I do agree with you. I think that is a very prevalent thing, that people are kind of just jumping on whatever the hype is at the time.
100%.
And and then fair enough, some boys are doing unreal off of that, and fair play to them. And some boys, that's their whole business model. You know, they're not even hiding the fact that whatever the next hype thing is, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make as much moves or as much movement as I can with them things, and as much waves as I can. And like, I respect that too. I absolutely do. If someone's just like, you know, I see what's out there and I'm trying to use what's out there and recycle it in my own way and put it back, I'm cool with that. And like, I know myself, sometimes I'm like, when I want to sit down and make a tune, sometimes it just turns into a drill tune, and I'm okay with that too. And like, I just kind of, I've realized I at the very start of drill, when I first heard it, I really didn't like it. I did not like I don't know, it was so simple and repetitive, you know, the triplet sort of hat pattern. I do too, but it very quickly, like, the beats were the thing that kind of got me at the start, because they were just hard. There was no other way about it. The beats just hit hard. The way the bounce is in a drill song, like that triplet bounce, it was kind of refreshing to hear at the start, like just a kind of a subgenre coming off of a grime thing. And I kind of was interested in it, but then it was just the exact same thing being repeated. Very much so, like all music, drill, I think now, there's a lot of people who I'd be chatting to and they'd be like, nah, I don't listen to drill at all. And like, I understand, but I think that there's some drill artists that are out there that are doing new things rather than just doing the exact same thing that drill always was. They're like incorporating, like, rather than it being like a hard drill song, they're incorporating like emotional samples in there and melodies and stuff, and then the wording might be a little bit more like old school hip hop wording, where they're talking about stories rather than just being big men and stuff like that. They're actually speaking their experiences, and like, I like to see that. I like when a genre of music gets done so much that there's going to be a lot of the shit and there's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but in that there's going to be some gold, there's going to be some beats that aren't just quite drill but have to follow the same sort of principles, but then give you a sort of different feeling out the end of it. And I love that stuff. I love when something's kind of, you think it's one genre but you just can't pin it, that sort of way.
Like the way I see it with drill is like, if not that these artists would necessarily be up for it, but if we got a pile of drill beats and gave them to fucking Strange Boy, Costello, Hazy Haze, Size, fucking Jambo or something, like, it'd be fucking the perfect
Yes.
I know Trust,
Yes.
I think it was on his SoundCloud. It's not a song he's released since he joined up with Bad Arts, and it might be just on SoundCloud, but like, he did one. It was fucking nasty, and like, it's like, it's not the beat and the overall sound of drill that turns me off, because it's like, you know, the beats are always sick, so it's like, it's a sick drill beat, but also it's something fucking lyrically fucking venomous on top of it. Like, it's kind of like, I wasn't too big into trap, like new school trap, and I still amn't really, to be honest. Like, I mean, I love the old school 3-6 Mafia stuff and the kind of really old school, like, Memphis cassette tape type shit, like
funk sort of stuff.
and the kind of the instrumental stuff that now has become hyper popular the last couple of years as well. But it was Jambo did an album, I can't remember, I think it's literally called Trapped, or I could be wrong, but like, he just did all trap beats on that, like, and it's fucking easily some of the best trap I've ever heard. Like, it just worked so well because it wasn't just some guy going, you know, hibbly bobbly boop, I'm drinking lean. It was fucking like lyricism, and he was doing, you know,
bars,
stuff with substance. So it you know, for me, a lot of the time, all these beats are sick. You know, it's just like, there's one group called The Outfit from Texas, and like, not to shit on them, like, but lyrically, like, it's pretty trash, like. But the beats are just fucking absolutely, they probably be quite underground trap, but the beats are fucking just disgusting. Like, there's one tune called Highs and Lows, I recommend you look it up after, by The Outfit TX. And like, yeah, the lyrics are like, just, you know, very typical. I'm high, I want to get high, I'm gonna kill someone, blah blah blah. But the way the beat, and it is because it's quite simple. It's like just a 4-bar kind of loopy piano thing, one drum loop, hi-hat, snare, but it's just boom, it's absolutely nasty. So for me, it's never been the actual overall sound. It's just, I do like a bit of lyricism and some sort of substance on that side of things for me. So that's why, like, drill, it's kind of like, I like old school kind of gangster rap. So it's like, if I'm gonna listen to that kind of shit, I'd rather listen to Cool G Rap, Nas, or Jay-Z, where again, it's talking about the same kind of shit, but there's so much more substance and you know, story there than there is with drill in general, at least. Like, not to completely because I can't say I listen to enough of it to say, you know, give an overall opinion on it, but like, I don't think I'm too wrong in saying that the majority of it is kind of the same shit generally. No, absolutely, that is kind of the way it is. And there's only a couple of boys, like, there's one of my good friends, Ryan Windsor, or Low Key will be his Instagram, and he is like, he came from doing like grime. He was always rapping on grime beats and like massively inspired by Skepta. And one thing he said to me one time that like just made me understand the way he raps is that, like, when he listened to Skepta back in the day, there was other rappers, that was like kind of when mumble rap started, and like, to him, Skepta was the opposite of mumble rap. Skepta was so clear with his words, he was so precise, he didn't say that many things, but you could hear every word perfectly. And that, like, when my friend Loki, he does drill, we do a couple of drill things together, and I love his addition to drill, because it's like grime flows. It's not like, you know, it is, he's still saying he's still speaking about the topics and stuff, but it's the flow that comes out differently, and you kind of, it dances around a little bit more, and it's not as conventional as the normal drill flow that just will be hitting all the time on that kick with a little bit of space in front of it. And like, it's just kind of more interesting, you know. And like, another artist is like Hyphen as well, up in Derry. I know Hyphen,
like, and they're all lads that when they get on a drill beat, they don't do a drill rap, they do themselves. And the northern like,
accent definitely stands out a lot more as well, because a lot of the time it is an English accent or a Dublin accent on it. So the northern accent on drill really sticks out and makes them very unique in that aspect.
Absolutely. And his way about doing bars is like such a storytelling way as well. Like, that's his whole approach to it. Like, and yeah, he is some man. for doing it. And that's it. I respect all the boys that are out there, you know, knowing that drill is the most prevalent thing in the country at the minute, in the world at the minute, and they're purposely doing things to defy the normal way of doing it. That's the stuff that I like to actually hear.
So I was going to ask you, what would be some of your favourite tunes that you've produced, besides obviously some of the ones you mentioned, say across Ireland and stuff like that? I would say that you definitely have a standout sound, because when I heard Taxi Driver by Hazy, Chrome and Don Shee, I knew straight away it was one of your beats, because I think Simon had showed me enough of them, the ones he had off you, that I like. There was like, not obviously to say that like, you know, oh, your sounds or your beats are so ununique that I can, oh, that's definitely a Doc beat, but just you had this fucking, there was a, like GI I think is very much the same, and even Tony Mahoney as well, like you can tell it's their beat, but that's not shitting on the quality or the, you know, of how they sound. It's like, no, like it's got that quality, but there's just something there.
Absolutely.
Like I've been told I have it as well. I don't see it myself, but the lads would say, like, especially on Bad Arts, like you can tell that's one of your beats pretty straight away. And I could say the same about all the other producers on my label. So I would say that like you definitely have a unique sound, and we're like, while there's loads of producers, there's still not enough to say where it's like, if I was to name my top 15 or something, top 20, like I'd know there wouldn't be too many I'd be leaving out, do you know what I mean? Because there wouldn't be as many that I can go, okay, these are all the producers I know. The ones I know are generally the ones that I fucking listened to and tuned into enough to kind of get to know their sound, because they're so good. But
no, I know exactly what you mean as well. I've often, like, I'm the same boat. Like, people from the very start have been telling me, oh yeah, that's a pure Doc beat, and to me I'm like, what? I learned how to do this off of Kenny Beats. Like, what are you talking about? This is stuff I've learned through YouTube and even before Kenny Beats. Like, all of it's just been the pursuit of, I just want to make things hard. I want to make things, when they hit on the speaker, you feel them in your stomach, in your emotions, in your brain. That has always been my kind of pursuit, is just to, with now, in like the longer that I've done it, like make things hard, but at the same time make them sound nice. That sort of way. And I have to say as well, like most of my I owe a lot of my like my own sort of like leveling up in music, or like my own pursuit of getting better and being more and more creative, to the lads, to Lemon Pie Boys that I did the whole thing with. Because like having a group of boys like that, I find, if like, I see a lot of producers that I'd follow on the internet, and they're making beats on their own, and they're their own like judge and jury, you know what I mean, of what stuff's gonna go out. And like in that, and I did that for a while as well, and in that it was good because it was all myself, and it was all like me up in college saying that, oh yeah, I like this beat and I can't wait to bring this and show it to the boys, which is a good thing. You need a bit of both, but having a group of boys around me for so long actually is probably the thing that pushed me to grow the most, because with all the other artists that I'd be working with, I'd send them a new batch of beats twice a year maybe, and they'd be like, some of them would get back to me straight away. They'd be like, oh, I need this beat, this is the one. Wouldn't hear back off of some other ones. But like in that, it kind of, you know, I'm just kind of on my own progression and I'm just going at my own rate. But when I'm with the boys, they know everything I can do, I know everything they can do. So if we're doing the same stuff, it's not as enjoyable. We don't have as much fun doing it. And which is actually a really good thing to have with people, because what you end up doing is you push each other. You never do the same thing twice.
And you branch out as well, I guess.
And exactly. And you try different styles. You try different things you've never tried before. And I have to say, that's probably how I have grown the most, is having a group of boys around me that are all talented artists, and then wanting to, you know, up the level the whole time. Everyone wanting to bring more and more to the game.
I'd recommend that to anyone really who's starting out, to get in with a group of lads or girls or a mix who are into that kind of stuff. Because when I started off, I was in Galway, and I didn't meet anyone until I moved to Limerick for college and stuff like that. And I would say I've probably reached out a lot less since the label got together, because it's kind of like I can make a beat and I can say Trust would definitely sound great on this, or Davey or Dames or whatever. And if you're on a label, it's usually guys you fuck with and you rate. So it's like, yeah, I've got, you know, 6 or 7 rappers here that are at my disposal. Like, that will happily jump on this without having to go through the effort of, you know, it's not so, the chase isn't so much of a difficult task in some cases, because if it's someone you really want to get on that song and they're talking about it for ages, like, and it doesn't happen, like, it can be a little bit annoying chasing them. And I'd only would chase if it's like, but I really like this, but then it's kind of like, if they haven't done it, they're probably not as enthusiastic about it as I am, so fuck it. It's like, why bother when these guys will 9 times out of 10 be happy to do a tune with me, and like, you know, I'm happy to say that, you know, a good few of us on the label would be up there with some of the best rappers and best producers in the country, like, but that's still a big barrel. I'm not putting us down to the 5 or 6 people there, like, the, you know, top 50 or 60, like, people that are at a certain level. I'd say we could, you know, fight a few rounds there, I guess, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And as we said already, it's like it's the work that gets put in, and no doubt, like, ye are doing the work, like, that is what shows over all the thing. And just on that as well, what I was thinking about the making loads of beats and saying if you're doing it on your own versus being with people, something that I've often found, and I'd say you'd notice yourself, is that, like, I'd have a batch of beats all finished up and they'd be all polished, and I'd show them to a rapper, and then not a single one of them would land. And then I would be like, right, I'll go back into my project files and I'll scroll through them, and then there'll be just one that I'll click on by accident, or he'll click on, and it'll be a beat that I do not like, a beat that I made that's like, oh, there's no creativeness in that, that's just a regurgitation of something that I already know. And that's the one they'll pick.
Oh, it always
That's
happens.
the one they'll pick all the time. Is always and that's the value in, you know, working with other people, is that something that you could just pass off as like, that was just a learning curve, onto the next beat. That could be the one for someone. That could be the exact beat that they were looking for, and that has kind of made me have a better value of all of the work that I do. Even if I sit down here now afterwards and I try and make a tune and it's not great to me, I write it down and I will say it to the people that I work with, and I'll be like, oh, you know, do you want to have a listen to this tune? And if nobody does anything on it, grand, thing can be forgotten about. But I've realised that a lot of work that I think isn't worth, you know, outputting is my own view of it. And I've actually learnt that you're kind of, any art that you do has a bit of value to someone.
Oh, some of my least favourite songs that I've ever done, like, are some people's favourites. Like, it's like, have you not fucking heard, like, all the other stuff I've done? Like, there's one song, and there's like 3 or 4 people that love it. It's one of the songs I did ages ago, under my rap moniker Attention, as opposed to DJ Green, called Sweet Ho Alabama, and it's just got a sample of Sweet Home Alabama. It's just about hoes, like, it's the most cheesy shit going, like. And the music
but they're the ones.
The music video, then I used gameplay from Fallout New Vegas and dressed my character up like I would be, with the hockey mask and like a fucking a trench coat, and just did a music video with me just playing New Vegas, just shooting people, like. And it's probably the most work I ever put into a video. Like, I've had videos with so much more shots and like live action ones, and I've, you know, probably put in maybe like 12 hours into it overall. But this one, I spent weeks collecting fucking gameplay for this and shit, like. And like the song, it's not trash from a point of view that like the beat is crap and there's no flow or whatever. It's just it ticks those boxes, but like, you know, it's definitely is not the song I'm gonna pull out and be like, oh yeah, this is my number one tune. Like, and it's ironic too that most of the people that love it are girls, like, because I mean, I had it first, I like showed them it as like, would you find this offensive? And they're like, no, like, you're talking about hoes and you're playing Fallout New Vegas, like. Man,
they love it. They love it even more when you come at them. That is the truth.
Like, as long as it's not about me, it's like, no, it's not about you. Like, why would it be about you? It's just a fucking stupid song, like. But yeah, like, I find that frustrating at times, because another one is the Assassins tune on the Field Literature album I did with Trust, like, and the reason why I hate it is because it's the only verse that was kind of just a freestyle verse, and it's got no kind of content, no storyline, and obviously Jason obliterates my verse on it, and as well I had this really annoying like reverb on it that sticks out to me. None of the boys notice it, because like, at least my mates, like, that aren't into that aren't rap artists or producers or whatever, they don't notice it, but like they play it, like, oh, I love this tune. I'm like, oh man, like, that fucking echo just drives me insane. Like, but it's those 2 songs, like, there's like 20 other songs I love here. Just fucking put them on, please, like.
yeah. But that is it. And it's just kind of, you got to take it in your stride and just be like, do you know what? Even the things I do that aren't great, they're all right.
I think I've deleted everything
it,
that
that
I
is it.
I would look back on and be like, fuck, that's not good enough, that could be better, I could have done this better. I think the one thing I fucked up most was I did my first rap project as a rapper, and I just literally put all the songs I recorded onto a fucking like 2-hour project. And then once I'd made like my second project, I went back and I was like, I really should have kept that to like 4 or 5 tracks, because those 4 or 5 tracks, while I can do way better now, they're still at a solid level. I was like, no, that's solid. Like fucking everything kind of, you know, ticks the box there. Like, and it's not. There's no parts where I'm like getting jarred. It's just like, yeah, but I could do better overall as a lyricist now. Like, but yeah, that's probably the biggest mistake I made, and I deleted most of that, and most of it's gone, and thank God it is, because it's shite. But since that, there's very little, like, besides maybe the odd little kind of like, could have mixed that better. I think I've kind of gotten to a level on both ends where it's like, I'm not going to put out stuff that's crap. And as well, now I'm making like 50 tracks for a 5-track project as opposed to 20 tracks for a 20-track project, if that makes sense.
Exactly. No, man, and you're 100% right there in what you said, and like it's so that's kind of a part of the process as well for everyone, is to learn, you know, what's right for them. What are they going to do? And like, because I would have been the exact same at the very start, just outputting whatever I had, any beats that I had. And there's a couple of them out there now that are just early beat tapes off of SoundCloud and stuff, that when I listen back to them, I'm like, oh my God, what was I on? and there's been times in my life where I'm like, oh, I'm deleting everything. I'm deleting Facebook. I'm deleting all my old YouTube. I have like this really, really old YouTube page called I think it's called it's called Doc Productions. That's what it's called. And it was my very first ever thing, and I was making house tunes back in the day. And at some stage in my life, and you know, it's kind of funny because they're distorted to bits, and the bass is stupidly heavy in them, similar to my still stuff now to today. But a couple of times in my life, like, the boys have found them and they've been like, Doc, why are they still like a thing? And in my own brain, I'm thinking the same shit. But like, to me, like, I've found artists, like, there's a fella from Germany who I follow like heavily, a chap called why am I forgetting his name now? Oh, Origami. Do you know Origami Beats?
I don't know, no.
He's been a YouTube producer since Type Beats were in their like early stages. He's been doing it from way back when, but he has his first beats that he ever made released on the internet, and to me, that just kind of made me feel like, do you know what? Doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter at all. The stuff, if it's out there and if someone wants to take it down, you should take it down. But if you're okay with leaving it up there, I think what that does, it shows a progression.
True, yeah.
I think if someone actually fucks with your music, like, it'll not only show, like, if you've the really good stuff up there, like, cool, you're a really good producer, but I think, like, showing the progression, if you can track an artist from when they might not been as good to getting better, I think that gives people that feeling of, well, I might fucking give it a go too, so, and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
And then, yeah, and that's, I think that is like, but that's the thing, it's different for everybody. Some people, you know, they have to take down their old stuff because it isn't in line with the way they are now. And like, I 100%, there's so many different ways of doing it, but like, I feel like, to me, like, it's kind of important that I acknowledge all the different stages of myself.
Definitely.
Whether it be online or all the beats that are on my laptop and stuff. It's coming back to that thing I said there a while ago of that, like, all the art I've done, it might be fucking the beginning art, the pure, like, simple stuff that I was doing at the start, but all of that has a value to me in some way, even if it's that in 20 years time my kids can go and find my first beats that are on SoundCloud or some shit like that, and they'd be like, oh, Dad, you were shite making beats at some stage.
I can guarantee they'll be embarrassed
But,
as
like,
fuck, no matter how great the songs. Be like,
do you know
God knows what they're going to be listening to
exactly.
at that age, man. Jesus Christ, like, just fucking siren drones on loop, like.
bleeps and bloops, just, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something to look out for in the future. Like, it's like, I've put a lot of fucking pretty outrageous content out there, so it's kind of like, it's a fear for, like, it's like, you know, I won't be able to tell my kids not to do things because there's literally like several albums worth of evidence that I did all the things that I'm gonna tell them not to fucking do, and I did it with a smile on my face the whole time.
They just bring the track back to you like, but I thought you said we can't smoke weed, Daddy.
You see, Dad, you reference having sex with prostitutes, guns, cocaine, selling drugs, all in the one song. It's like, yeah, Oh, I was talking about someone else. I'm just
But you're not allowed to do it.
You don't fucking do that. You're a pussy.
Oh yes. Aye, that's the right job.
So I would probably ask you now, what's kind of some of the stuff you have in the works right now that'll be kind of up and coming in the next year?
So over the next little while, I'll start from closest to home. One of my mates, Aggie, he's been getting back on releasing tracks.
I met Aggie years ago.
And Aggie, Aggie Oi, and it's kind of all the Lemon Pie boys we've been working away like there's no tomorrow. There's, like you were saying there's hundreds of tunes that we are trying to siphon down into. Maybe if we get 5 or 6 tracks, we'd be delighted, and then just have something that we can release. But so there's Aggie's working on his own stuff now, and he's going to be releasing some stuff. Baz, he's been doing stuff as well, and this is all the Lemon Pie boys. And Ryan, we've been working on some drill bits over the next little while. We should be putting them bits out. And another one of my mates, Iris as well. He's working on a few bits with me. I have hella load of tunes on the laptop ready to go for them. And then outside of my own group, I know I've been working with Cobb, and he's a couple of albums coming up this year. He said he wants to release 2 EPs. Yeah.
Don't know him personally, but I follow him.
I've been working with him. Yeah, he's a couple of videos to drop, and another one of the boys from his group, Tommy C, as well. I've done a bit of recording with him, and he has some very nice tracks. And he's doing some. He's another one of the lads that is like another Irish boyo that's taken. He's taken the inspiration from like not just Irish artists or not what's going on in Ireland, and like I really fuck with that shit as well. Another fella that does. I was just working with the other day. I was up in Dublin with Hoover and Crutch. I've only met Crutch in the last little while. He's a Dublin rapper, and he'd work with the boys from Saint Street, Loop Heavy, and them lads there. Yeah, he got on a track. Me and Hoover done a track, and Hoover done a track over one of my beats, and then he got your man Crutch on it, and it was the first time I heard him, and he absolutely killed the track, and the track's doing pretty well now. It's called Crutch's Track.
I'll check it out,
and it's all over Spotify. And it's quite a good one. And another track that I do want to shout out as well is Aggie's new track is Psychosis High, and if you just look up Aggie Oi X Doc, the thing will come up. But and yeah, I was working with the Hoover and Crutch, and we're working on some new music as well. And the two boys have hella lots of bits coming up in the next little while. Other projects. Oh, a fella I started working with, a chap called Scott Tree. He's from Bradford, and he moves around with Blazer Bockel and Hayes the Martian and them boys. He'd be mates with all of them lads, so I see great things for him coming up in the future. And we have a couple of like strange, I kind of call it boom bappy stuff, like kind of Earl Sweatshirty but mixed with blah, that sort of slow, nod your head sort of spooky boom bap sort of music. He's a good few of them coming out. And he's a nice lad though as well to look up, Scott Tree. Who else then? I'm not sure now. I'm definitely leaving out a couple of people, but oh, and one of the other people I recorded with a good bit is a fella called Kong, Kong, and he's from my hometown as well. And he would have been a rapper that started rapping when Lemon Pie started to do shows and stuff in our hometown. And he would have been one of the boys that came up to us and was like, "Oh, boys, fair play to you, doing something. It's great to see." And it's I love it now because like he's in the studio every other week with me now, recording better and better and better music, and just I love to see that shit as well. Let's check him out, Kong. Who else then? I know Jafaris has a couple of tracks coming up as well. He was sending me back a couple of things.
You should definitely get some tunes with Don She, man, I'd say, because her verse on
I'd love
verse
to.
on Taxi Driver, just it fucking matched up so well. Like
I know, man. She killed the track. She absolutely murdered the track. That was too hard. That was a very hard one. I'm dying as well to get back down to Limerick to the PX boys. I haven't chatted to them boys in a while. I know they've been on some madness, and so there'll be some works coming up in that direction. Me and 40 Hertz will make some scary things, I'd say. Who else is doing bits? I think that's it. And then just for my own self as well, I'm working on releasing a couple of beat tapes with all of the artists that I've got to work with in this country. And I won't say too much about that yet because I'm not even 100% on that, but that's coming this year.
I have another one of those in the works at the moment, but it's been a background project for the last year, so I've like a couple of tracks back for it, so it's going to be probably a long process. Could even be next year before it's out, but I did 2 of them already back in 2019 and 2020, and yeah, good crack doing that. But this one I kind of was more on the end of handpicking everyone, so it's kind of maybe more people that are kind of hard to get a hold of to actually like, because they're doing big moves the whole time and stuff like that, so I'm really waiting, because the last time when I finished up the last one, it was the very beginning of COVID, and I just fucked up so much, and because of that I missed out on the Costello track, I missed out on the Size track, I missed out on the Strange Boy track, I missed out on a fucking second track from Trust, missed out on like basically all the songs that would have been the best overall. So it was a little bit disappointing on that end, but I still had some sick tunes, like, but I was like, fuck it, I might as well go ahead with it, because at the time it was during that stage where people were nearly like, geez, are we ever going to be able, we can't leave our houses, like, so the idea of us all meeting up in a studio and recording and stuff at that particular time was like, oh geez, yeah, it's probably we don't know how long it's going to be this bad.
Not going to happen.
It turns out it was never going to be bad on a level like that where we wouldn't be able to meet up during the pandemic or whatever, like, so. But it kind of fell short in that sense. So this time I'm trying to I'm happy to wait a couple of years even, to the point of actually being able to bolster the kind of track list for it and really have like 10-15 songs with rappers that are going to really deliver, like.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that is the thing as well. I know I'm planning to head off to Canada for a little while at the end of this year. And so the last 10 years that I have been doing music, I feel have all been kind of building me up to the point to now where I'm at, to just do a hell of a lot of moving around the place, go to a hell of a lot of studios, meet face to face with a lot of boys, and then by the end of that time, that's kind of my time limit. Then by the time I have to go, I'm going to output whatever tracks I have by then, and then that's my portfolio for being in Ireland and working with as many artists as I can here. Definitely
agree on the traveling around aspect. Like when I was last traveling, I was still only just still working on my first album, which was with the Australian rapper from Brisbane, Animal. So like once I actually went abroad, I was in Canada first, and I had my laptop there and I was working away in it, but then I was staying with family there. But when I was going to America just after, we were kind of traveling around, backpacking nearly, so I was like, I don't really want to be bringing a laptop around, so I left it at home. So I regret, because I was there for 3 fucking months, regret not really making any kind of form of music moves as if I could. So I definitely my attitude is, if I go again, I'm going to spend most of my time doing that rather than sitting about smoking weed and fucking going to the beach and all
100%.
Stuff. Like, I could have easily done that as much, but utilised my time a little bit better. But
exactly, yeah.
So
yeah,
I would say, man, that's definitely a very good idea to do that, like.
Yeah, and I was just even my cousin lives over there, and I was just having a chat with him there last week, and something that I feel stops a lot of like if you're building anything in your home country, and like I said, being in Ireland, if you do anything creatively and you do it a little bit of consistency at some stage, you're probably going to get some recognition doing it. And something that I feel has held me back from leaving is that the fear of starting from the bottom when you go somewhere else. But something that like I have really had to take on board this year is that, you know, traveling's always going to be scary. There's never going to be the right time to go and do it. But something that my cousin convinced me of is that like the work that we've put in the last, say, 10 years in this country, when we go somewhere else, there's like Canada's a great example because the population in Toronto, which I'm going to, is 6 million or something in the city, and that's the whole population of the whole of Ireland. And so the opportunities that we can get here in the 10 years of doing it, and like fair play to us for doing it here, and that's like you said, you have to build yourself up in your own country before you go anywhere. I think once you can build yourself up in your own country at all, if you go somewhere else with that, the amount of people you're going to meet, the amount of opportunities that are going to get put in front of you. And that was the thing that really sold it to me then. I was like, you know what? I was always so afraid of going over, starting brand new and stuff. But realistically, it was us that done the work to get us to where we're at. So whenever we go anywhere else, if there's more people that are interested in the thing, sure as God, you know that it's going to happen.
You're at a level now where it'll make a difference. And the way you were saying it, like there's 6 million people in Toronto, like I was there, like, and you're within driving distance of Niagara, you're within driving distance of Montreal and Ottawa as well, like, which are all a couple of million people. So yeah, like you can you literally have, you know, endless opportunities. And even that side of the country, like, it's not too expensive to go to New York for a couple of days as well. They're quite close to each other, like. As I will say, Toronto smells like shit, so maybe wear a fucking face mask while you're there. And New York.
Really?
Oh my God,
I was there when I was young. I haven't been there in years.
Well, it might have been that particular, like for me, like it might have been the morning that I walked through the streets and they're probably emptying and cleaning out the bins because the street was lined with dumpsters, but it stunk. But nothing would compare to New York, man. Like it like permanently smells of shit. Not to shit on people that are from there or whatever, but they know it themselves and they're used to it. And even like I was on like a fucking rooftop bar and like the smell travels up, so you're up fucking 20 stories and it smells like you're in a sewer.
What
like,
the fuck?
Like outside Trump Tower there was shit on the fucking floor.
You
like,
think you'd get away from it at the height? Like that's fucking
and there's
crazy.
Just rats everywhere in the subway. It's gas, like fucking. I was laughing my head off looking at them and like there's people just looking at me like it's because they're totally used to it. I'm like, man, like I've seen about 12 rats in my whole life, like, and I've grown up. I've lived in cities and I've lived in the countryside. You know what I mean? And now I'm seeing 10 of them at the fucking train station just eating a bit of.
All at
once. A bit of plastic, like. But yeah, like aside from the smells, though, the places are fucking savage. Like I would say for me in Canada, I found Ottawa was very nice because it was like a biggish city, but it was very kind of Galway-ish, kind of, or Limerick-ish, where it was like, you know, you could literally you could drive just outside the fucking city 20 minutes, half an hour, you were in the countryside, and it wasn't so much a towering metropolis as Toronto and especially fucking New York is, where it's like you kind of do feel a little bit boxed in. Like I was like, I probably wouldn't go to the beach there, and anywhere that was kind of secluded and countryside, I probably wouldn't go there. It could be dodgy, like, because I mean, there's parts of Central Park that like the Central Park we see is like the best part, the one we see in fucking Friends or Home Alone or whatever, but it's fucking huge. Some of it is literally just like a muck pile of just a dirt track and like dead trees everywhere and just like nothing there at all, like in parts of it. So it's kind of.
But they don't show that to people.
No, like you know, there was parts where it's like, man, this could easily be just fucking some shitty park in Ireland where we are right now. Like, and there's like you're in a city that's got what, like fucking, I don't know, like 10 million people, I think, a lot, like probably more than that, and it's like there's no one around. You know what I mean? Like you're in this fucking park and you're just like, I can't see anyone, I can't hear anyone. It's like it's a very surreal
That's
feeling.
Crazy.
But as I was saying, Ottawa especially, like that's where my brother and his wife live, and fucking it's very, very, very nice. Like Toronto and Montreal for me now, I didn't really think were all that great. It was just to see them. But in terms of, I definitely wouldn't live in them. Like that would, or at least it wouldn't be my first choice if I had the choice to, which city do I live in Canada for the rest of my life? But I would say Ottawa's definitely a very nice place worth visiting if you're going to do any traveling. Like
100%. No, I will. Because I only am going over to stay. My cousin has a gaff in Toronto, so that's why I'll go there first.
Handy out, like.
But definitely, like I don't want to stay in the one spot at all. I want to be traveling around Canada as much as I possibly can. And then America as well, like right next door to America. That's the hopes. Get a bit of work with a few boys over there. See what happens.
I did we drove all the way from San Diego up to the Grand Canyon, which is like an 8-hour drive, and then drove back down from place to place, spending a day in each place. Like we sat around in San Diego for ages because it was really nice, really relaxing, and I'd been sick coming from New York because I got food poisoning just before I came to New York, and it lasted like fucking week and a half, and I hardly ate anything. So once we got to San Diego, it was so much nicer to be in a relaxed, lovely beach area, and the weed was lovely. So we stayed there for ages. But then the last week we were like, fuck it, we'll do some more traveling. So we just went from place to place. So it was quite quick. But I definitely like still had a great time. We utilised it or made the most of it. But yeah, like I mean, that was like it's pretty cheap if you've used Airbnbs and shit like that. Like you cut out Las Vegas. Like obviously, yeah, no matter who you are, you will get done there. Like with fun. I spent more money in a day and a half there, and I gambled like $30. The rest is all the other stuff that's available in Vegas. I put it that way. Like,
just buying drinks and food and yeah, I know what you mean.
You're not gonna like strip clubs in Europe are not like the ones in GTA, but these ones were like the ones in fucking GTA. So I was like, yeah. I walked up to the door of one man and I was like, I pulled out my money, and he was like, what are you pulling out money for? And I was like, well, how much is it to get in? He's like, no, you get a 2 free drinks and a lap dance just to go in there. But that's when you're locked in, like. You're locked in then.
Yeah. Then they know. I
don't want to get too explicit about it, but like obviously, like I was there with one mate, so you get a lap dance, you stand up, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? He's off there getting a lap dance. It's like there's nothing else to do there, like, and it's like I guess I get another one, and it just fucking piles up then, like. But so it's dangerous in that sense. But gambling, I knew I wasn't gonna go there and do it, and they do say it kind of you literally get fucking brainwashed into it. But like I just went. I went to one machine and I was like, look, I'll spend $10, whatever, see what happens. And the machine started going off, and I started seeing these points on the screen going up and up and up, and it said like 2,900, and I was like, man, did I just win $3,000 basically? And I was like, no, it's $29. I was like, fuck's sake. I put the $29 and lost it straight away. I was like, alright, let's go, fuck this. But
that's how they get you, you know. You got out at the right time.
Like it would be the same in Canada, because I was with my family in Canada, I was with my mate in America, and we did kind of similar things where it's like, if you plan it out properly, go to Airbnbs or whatever, you literally spend nothing traveling fucking halfway across the country, not halfway across the country, but a good fucking an 8-hour drive across this region was fucking massive, and all the shit we saw, and we didn't spend that much money. Like I mean, it probably. And we like at one point we stayed in a school bus in the fucking middle of the desert, like, which was insane. Like, it's like we just saw this ad. It's like, fuck it, man. Like, it's proper Charles Manson job. Like, let's go.
That's fucking fire.
Class, like, but it's like, but I could tell like the average Irish person would be like, "Where's the hotel?" You know, it's €300 a night in each place. It's like, fuck that. We spent about $300 staying in about 6-7 different class places. Like, so I would say like
that's
it's again,
dead,
I imagine you know yourself, but like really kind of look into it. And you can do shit that you think would cost you $2,000 for fucking $300 and have a great fucking time, like.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. I just, you made me think of one story there. I'll say before we go off is one of my mates. I'll give him a shout out as well. His name's Terry Norman. He's a comedian around Ireland, and he's done stuff with the Three Books Left, the three lads from the Hardy Books. They do like a stand-up sort of thing, and he's opened up for them like all around Ireland, in Workman's, all around the place, in Castletown as well. Sounded like an amazing gig. But your man Terry, anyways, he was doing a couple of comedy shows over in Bratislava and Vienna and another place called Brno, and he asked me would I go over with him and do the sound, which is very little in a fucking comedy gig. All you literally have to do is plug in the mic. That's it. And then I was just drinking for the rest of the holiday. But just you were saying there about cheap hostels and stuff, and Slovakia, Bratislava is somewhere that I'd never thought I would go in my entire life. I never had I didn't even know it existed as a place really before my mate saying it to me. And anyways, we went over there and we were looking for hotels and hostels before we went over. And we found there was loads of nice ones and stuff like that, but my mate was like, look, we're doing it on the cheap, we're getting a dorm room in a hostel and we're going to have the crack. And I was a bit like, I hadn't been away in a while, so I was like, I don't know, do I want that? I want the comfort of a hotel room, blah de blah. Ended up just that we looked up these hostels and we found this hostel called the Urban Elephants, and it had another sister hostel in the same town called the Wild Elephants. And these were really cheap hostels in the town, and so we were reading reviews on the Wild Elephants because it seemed like the really crazy party hostel. And one of the last reviews that had been left on it was a fella that was saying He gave it a 1-star review, and he said, "Great company, great great fun, great for drinking, great for partying, terrible if you want to sleep." And so once we seen that, we were like, right, we won't stay there. We'll go to the one that's beside it. Oh my God, Clobocop just texted me on Instagram there, and she actually unfollowed me not too long ago as well. So I'm gonna give her shit now. But fucking anyway, sorry. So yeah, we were picking out the hostel, and then we decided we'd stay in the less party one, the Urban Elephant. So we got there, dirt cheap rent. Everyone who worked in there was like under the age of 32, I'd say. They were all young people. Even the manager was quite young as well. And yeah, dirt cheap hostel. We got shots as soon as we came through the door. All the staff that worked there were so nice. Like, most of the women were unbelievable, and they were from all different parts of the world. And the crack with the hostel, we found out, and is that people just go there and to stay, and they hear about it, and there's so much crack going on in them hostels. And the place we were staying in was the Urban Elephants. That was the place where people ate and they kind of slept. But the whole time when we arrived to the Urban, they were telling us, you know, this place is very good crack. When you go over to when it gets late at night and we're all pre-drinking here, and then we go over to the Wild Elephants, you'll see why. And then, like that, no idea what to expect, me being pure Catholic Irish boy going over to this mad European party hostel, right? And it was a grand job. Went in there. After the show that we had that night, I ended up in the Wild Elephants, and I met another Irish guy who worked behind the bar. And so, long story short, halfway through the night, a fella came in and a girl, and they just started instigating everyone getting naked. Everyone getting balls naked. There was a room full of people in there. It was like a bar upstairs area in the hotel, and everyone just started to get naked. And as I say, I'm not like a religious person, but I am who I am. And you know, that sounds like a great thing. Like there was hot girls there, there was men there as well. So there was gonna be dicks out, there was gonna be tits out, there was gonna be the whole lot. And you know what I mean? Like, but in that moment, I actually realised that I have too much Catholic shame to really fully just embrace all of these moments. And I looked at the other Irish guy, and he said to me, you can leave on your jocks. And so I whipped off everything and ended up just having a night that I don't think I ever would have had if I was staying in a hotel, if I was staying in a proper establishment. You know what I mean? If I was staying like, that only happens. Like, that's the thing you were saying about like staying in them buses and stuff like that. Them places where you're not too sure about like how great the place is going to be, and they're not renowned for having a great reputation and blah blah and all that stuff, they're kind of the most interesting places.
That's where the crack is.
Where you actually meet. That's where you meet the best people. That's where you come out of it with the maddest stories, and not just like, I had a great relaxing sleep and had a lovely shower the next day and got bread and breakfast and then left. You know, that's a place where I didn't even get to sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. Like, there was so much shit going on.
I still chat to some people I've met abroad on these trips I've gone on. Like, so I don't think you'd get that if you were staying in a 5-star hotel. Like,
absolutely
robots
not.
Everywhere.
Absolutely not. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't even look at each other if you were in a 5-star hotel. You know, you'd stick to your own group.
There's
and
that's
the way it is.
Comfort, like,
genuinely, like,
you know, it's kind of, it's a bit not to say you're in there fucking having an anxiety attack, but like there's a level of anxiety in the air where it's like, you know, one of the hostel I was staying in San Diego, like, I walked in and I saw like a sign on the wall outside. It was like, you can smoke here, but no bongs and no fucking like dabs or pipes or whatever. And I was like, really? And I was like, that's probably a joke. I was like, if I light a spliff here, I'm probably gonna go mad. Like, it is legalized in California, but still, I was like, I assumed it was like smoke in the privacy of your home and don't do it anywhere else, you'll get arrested. Like, so I go inside. I was like, are we actually allowed to smoke weed here? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh cool. And then I remember it was weeks later. This girl had come in, and obviously she didn't know. And I was sitting down by myself in this outdoor area, and she was too. And I just whipped out a spliff and lit it, and she kept looking over. She was staring at me. She was staring at me like I was fucking fiddling myself in the corner, like. And I was like, what is she looking at? And then the lads came out and it's like, she is staring at you, man. And I'm like, why are you staring at me? And she goes like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're smoking a fucking joint in public in America. She was German. Like, I was like, yeah, you can do it here. And I pointed at the sign, and she was like, really? I was like, yeah, like, we can do it here. Like, she was like, what the fuck? Like, but in a hotel, if I had done that, it would have been the opposite. She would have got up and called security and fucking would have been fucked out of the place. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. But then you just end up meeting a person and you have an interaction together, and it's like, oh, how mad is it that we can do this thing here that we get fucking thrown in jail for at home in our own country.
Before we close up, I'll tell one more Catholic guilt story from abroad that I experienced, which is very similar to your one, where
please do.
I was working in a fucking college there as part of an Erasmus program, and I was staying over in Espoo in Finland, which is like maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes outside of Helsinki. And
nice one.
There was some guys from Estonia there that were on Erasmus as well, but they were working as mechanics, and fucking dish cleaners, like, whereas I got to sit in a cushy job where I got paid like $3,000 to do like 3 or 4 days work, because I got it done so quickly, and I was there for a month, and I just basically went around pissing about, smoking joints and just seeing the sights or whatever. But these lads like couldn't get weed or whatever, and I managed to get this guy who basically he just threw me a fucking like a quarter ounce for like €20 or whatever, and there was only a couple of days left, so I didn't have time to smoke all of it, so I gave them some, and they were fucking delighted, and I knew that they were getting paid fuck all to do proper work, so I felt bad on them, like. But then they were like, do you want to go into the sauna? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not, like. And we go down, and I was kind of around the corners getting dressed into my jocks, like, and I turn around, they're all butt naked, like, and I was like, what the fuck? It's like, are we getting naked, like? And I looked to the right.
This is happening
and
now.
The fella I was with, I knew that he identifies as bisexual, like, but he still obviously wasn't too comfortable. He's like, yeah, I guess we're getting naked, like, and I was like, yeah, and he was like, yeah, I went in Rome, and he just whipped his jocks off. I was like. And I kind of turned around, I said to the boys, like, yeah, I'm not too familiar with the whole, cocks out thing, do you know what I mean? And your man was like, it was a bit of a language barrier, and he was like, what? I was like, you're
I don't want to explain this again.
You're standing right in front of me, and your dick is out, like, and then he was like, oh no, it's normal, and I was like, yeah, we don't do the shit in Ireland at all, like, if you got butt naked into a sauna in a hotel, like, you'd probably be arrested, like, and this...
You 100%.
One of the boys just turns his head around the corner. He's like, "Don't worry, man. Fucking sauna, 0% gay. We're not like those fucking Germans that were in earlier." Like, and then I got in with them, and like, it's pretty dark in there, so like, you can't see it unless you look. But it is just below your peripheral vision, where it's like there's like 8 penises surrounding me right now. Like, I was like, I know they're probably not gonna grab my arse or anything like that, but still, it's just a little bit like, like, I haven't seen anyone's penis since fucking. Being a little kid or whatever, running around naked and fucking with your friends when you're at that 2 or 3 years of age. Like, since then, I've not seen it anywhere besides maybe the odd porn video or something, like, so it was definitely a bit of a serious culture shock where it's like, oh Jesus, like, and I told most of the lads back home, and they were like, there's no way we would have done that, and like, I would have thought they'd be a lot more secure than I was, because I'm hardcore straight, like, so I was kind of like, fuck it, man. The way I saw it was like, they're not fucking gonna touch me up. I'm not touching them up. It's like,
exactly.
Is it really that bad? It's just a penis, do you know what I mean? We all have them, like, and I got over it pretty quickly.
Absolutely,
I wouldn't be running
absolutely.
to do it again. I'd much prefer to be with a couple of girls rather than a couple of lads, like. But,
a nice even mixture is probably the best.
It makes it a little more secure, like. I mean, I was even telling my owl lad about it, and he was like, no way would I ever do that. And I was like, but why? Like, is it really that bad? Like. I thought it was it's a funny story to bring back in the end, like, but the initial shock was definitely like,
absolutely,
because the cult that
I think, and something that I felt as well in the same regard was like, in the environment I was in, it was the same thing. There was dicks everywhere, there was tits everywhere, and like, it was very hard at the very start to not look. I was checking out every pair of tits I could see, and in the odd time I just see a dick, and I was like, oh fuck, I didn't, and and I was just looking around, and then as everyone was naked for like over half an hour, and I was chatting to a couple of them, it actually stops being weird, and you kind of stop noticing that everyone has everything out, because everyone's clothed the whole time. It's so strange when someone gets naked, but when you're around a load of fucking people that are like stripping for the sense of like being free and that sort of shit, like, the conversation that you have with people, you completely go over small talk, and you talk about things that you actually care about. And I don't know, it was a really, that was what was so, it was so uncomfortable for me at the very start, but as it went on, I felt such a sense of like, I don't know, security, or like
that buzz when everyone gets all in their deep fucking ego.
And you know what I mean? It was connection, exactly. It was that sort of thing. Like, we're all naked here. There's people that are overweight. There's people like me that are skinny to bits with their ribs out. You know, and you know it doesn't fucking matter.
Someone
and
definitely looked around to see who had the biggest dick. It was like someone definitely was like, oh, it's me. And the girls probably did the same.
You're
like,
dead right. The boy
who's got the nicest tits.
Yeah,
like.
you're dead right. The boy with the biggest dick was definitely the only lad who was looking around at all the dicks. That's the truth. But fuck it, these things, now that I've been back home in Ireland for as long as I've been back home, I feel like I would be an alien again if I was to be in them situations. But I realised they're healthy for you. You need to go through them things because it's what it is. It's body security.
Yeah, if you're with a group of Irish people and they did it, I'd feel weird. I'd feel like these guys are definitely not, you know, if it was in Europe, it's like, oh, they're just, you know, when they're from a different country, they're just free, you know, it's a different culture, whatever. But in Ireland, it's like, I just feel like, no, these guys are gonna fucking like inject me with something now or fucking stab me. Like, I'm like, good luck. I don't want to be a bunch of smelly naked Irish hippies, like.
Here's the last one I'll leave you on. My friend Terry, who I was over there with, he missed the first night that I was there when everyone got naked, and I came back to the hostel afterwards into the room that was full of people, and I woke him up and I told him the story, and he was like, "You're lying, leave me alone, I'm going back to sleep." And I was like, fair enough, bro, you think what you think, just go down there tomorrow night. And just on what you're saying there, he is He's bisexual as well, and he's no problem. You know, he'll no problem with anyone. He just loves people in general. But anyways, this lad went down there the next night, and I didn't see this, but he told me he had heard that there was a naked party that went on the night before people started stripping. So he went down there the next night in his spandex leather outfit that he loves to wear, and apparently he initiated the getting naked of the whole night. And he got completely naked. Like, he was running around outside the hostel naked and shit like that. And he's genuine, because he's a pure Irish boy, but he's been doing comedy, he's been in open relationships, he's been with lads for a while, he's been with girls, he's just done the whole lot of it. So like, he's very kind of comfortable in his own skin. And like, it as someone, and I would feel that I am too, going out there, it actually showed me how I wasn't, and what I would want to do then in order to be back in them situations and be able to just whip it all off and not give a shit. That's it, honest to God. And now I'm looking forward to, if ever I do go back over to the old wild elephants. Again, like. I swear, man, because I couldn't the last time, so I'm ready this time.
That's definitely not a conversation that's going to happen on this podcast again. But that's definitely one of the best ones I've had. On that note, we've gotten about an hour and a half in, so I will probably close it up there. I really appreciate having you on, man. It was a very, very funny conversation. I'd be glad to meet you in person at some point and have similar chats.
Absolutely.
And as well, before we close, I was going to say, if you're up for doing any collaborations with any of the Bad Arts guys, not just free collaborations, obviously throw you a few quid for beats and shit like that, but if you want to, just fucking fire over whatever you have that's available, and I can share it with the boys 100%. And see if anything comes of it. But I can guarantee with your stuff in particular,
A1,
definitely you'll get some shit out of it, because your stuff is top quality, and I feel like definitely Trust, and maybe I'd say even all like Trust, Son of Dawn, and Big Man Davey especially, I think on your beats would fucking be pretty nasty.
Fuck yeah, bro. I'll get you across the new batch that I'm working on now, and I'll get you across a couple of the old ones as well. Definitely. Sounds good.
Alright, Sam, man, sure.
That's A1. Thank you for having me as well, man.
I'll chat to you soon.
A1,
Cheers,
take it easy.